This is Andi for Boxing Social, and I'm now joined by Adam Smith, head of Sky Sports Boxing. Adam, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Very excited about Saturday night. Good being back in Sheffield. Brings huge memories over the years, and we've got a long association with the Steel City. Obviously, my colleague and great friend Johnny Nelson, and Prince Nassim Hamid, and Ryan Rose, and so many others over the years. So it's great to be back. Kell's we've known about Kell since he was 10 years old and first in the Winkerbank stable. So he's had a great career, and I think there's a good couple of years left in the old boy yet. He looks like a young boy at the moment. He looks in great nick, so looking forward to being back.
What do you make, firstly, of the change in trainers? Obviously, he's going now with John Fuchs. What do you make of that?
Listen, sometimes you need a little sharpen, a little change. Dominic Ingall's a busy guy. I know he was with Billy Joe Saunders for the fight that never happened in Boston, and Kid Galahad, and I think maybe Kell just, he was overseas, and I think he just needed some hands-on training at the time, and he goes back a long way with John Fuchs and Adam Etches and those guys. He fought Fuchs, I think, 3 times in the amateurs, so John was a good fighter himself. I remember him in the early days of Sky and the Fireball Fuchs, so it's good seeing him then, actually. But he knows boxing, and we don't know until they get in the ring, but he looks good to me, and as I kept saying up there, a happy fighter's a dangerous fighter. He looks very happy to me.
Kell stepping in with Michael Zerafa, obviously. What are you making of this fight? How do you see it going? What are you predicting for Saturday night?
He's a big favourite, Kell, obviously. He's more established. Zerafa, a couple of defeats on the card, but he's got a few wins under his belt. He's hungry. The Australians come over and they love a fight, and he's trained hard, I know that. So look, Kell will be expected to deal with him. I think it's how he deals with him. I think he needs to put a real show performance on to remind Amir Khan that the fight that everybody wants to see is that fight, Khan and Brook. Talk obviously of Khan maybe going another route to fight Terence Crawford, and look, that's a big fight for Khan, but the fight we all want to see is the fight with Kell Brook right here, right now. And all Kell can do is keep winning. Will he end up in the super welterweight, the light middleweight division, fighting for world titles, or the welterweight? So I think if he fights Khan, he's going to have to go to welterweight. If he doesn't, the weight might be better for him at 154. So he's got plenty of big fights out there, but he's got to win on Saturday, and he's got to look good. But Zerafa's coming full of confidence, so let's see.
Do you think if Amir was to go and fight Terence Crawford, and Kell was to continue to pursue the WBA world title, if he was to win on Saturday night, obviously a final eliminator, that if Khan Brook doesn't happen, obviously at 147, then Kell will look to stay at 154 and Amir at 147, and that fight it won't happen?
I think it makes sense. If he doesn't get the Amir Khan fight, he shouldn't fight at welterweight. I mean, I always thought the Errol Spence fight was a dangerous fight for him at welterweight, coming back down off Golovkin. He's a mandatory. I said to Eddie as soon as he told me about that fight, I said, that's a hard fight, Eddie. Errol Spence is really good. And listen, I'm not saying that Kell Brook couldn't have won that fight. I think he could have won it, but at welterweight, I think that was tough. And Amir wants him to fight at welterweight again. And look, for a fight as big as Khan Brook, he'll take that. But I think if that wasn't on the table, I think he should fight probably at 154. But he'll go where the opportunities are. There's plenty out there. It's huge weight divisions, and I'm sure that Kell Brook will win on Saturday night, and if he gets that win and gets through it, I'm sure there'll be huge fights for him in 2019. So he still looks fit and fresh and sharp, even though he's been around a while.
Do you think, what do you make even of this Khan-Crawford-Brook triangle? Do you think we will see Khan Brook? Is that still a feeling that you can see happening at some point?
You tell me. I've wanted the fight, I don't know how long for, since they were both kids, I think. I've been very outspoken about my wish for this fight. I can't physically make it happen. They've got to do it themselves. I thought of the Tony Bellew fight with them both chatting to each other. We were close under the Matchroom umbrella. But it's going to come down to the individuals, and they're the ones that get in the ring. They're the brave ones that put their lives on the line each and every time. We've seen with Adonis Stevenson last weekend. Everyone was talking about Tyson Fury, and rightfully so. It was a wonderful win. It should have been a wonderful win for Fury. It was a wonderful performance for Fury, outboxing Deontay Wilder at times, getting up off that amazing 12th-round knockdown, and should have got the decision, didn't. Controversial draw, but they can go again, or Anthony Joshua's waiting for one or both of them, so that's all great. But at the same time, Adonis Stevenson was in hospital fighting for his life, and I think that this is where, we have to, our thoughts obviously go out to Adonis and our prayers, and hopefully he'll make a great recovery. But that's the dangers of boxing, and the hard part of it. And you've got to think of the fighters. It's their careers. You can't tell them who to fight. Amir obviously sees something in the Terence Crawford fight. It's a hard fight for him, but he obviously wants to go and fight in America against the very best, and you can't really knock him for that. It's just that I would personally much rather have the Brook-Khan fight now. I think it's the right fight at the right time for both of them. I think they make a ton of money. I think they make a lot of fans happy, and I think they could do two of them. If the first one's successful, you can go again. So I'm disappointed if that doesn't happen. It's not dead in the water yet, and I think that it can be resurrected, but it'll have to happen quick. Kell needs to win at the weekend, and they've got to knock heads together, the teams, and try and make it. And if not, Khan fights Crawford, and that's an interesting story in itself, and Kell goes another route. But I wonder if it is not made now, whether it ever will be.
When Amir signed with Matchroom, was you surprised, or are you surprised that the fight hasn't been made? Was it something that you, amongst everybody else in the media or the public, just thought, right, Amir Kell under the same banner, it's just destined to happen? Are you surprised it hasn't happened as of yet?
I'm never surprised about anything in boxing. When Eddie said he needed to sit down and told me that instead of Gennady Golovkin fighting Chris Eubank Jr., he's going to fight Kell Brook, I said, okay, there's no point sitting down. These things happen in boxing. You get something spins somewhere. I was standing in this room with Kell Brook, and I was talking to Amir Khan on WhatsApp. Was it 2.5 years ago when he fought, just before Khan went to fight Canelo? And I thought the fight was almost made. Amir didn't want to talk to Eddie. No one wanted to. So I was sort of like a bit of a middleman, and I sort of sat there and said, look, these guys both want to fight. And 5 minutes later, he signs and fights Canelo for a ton of money, and obviously a very risky fight, and it ended up backfiring a little bit. But these things happen in boxing, and ultimately they're in it for money, they're in it for legacy, they're in it for their own self-interest. We as broadcasters, we as fight fans want to make these fights, and sometimes it's difficult. We didn't never get Lennox Lewis and Riddick Bowe in the ring as professionals. We did in the amateurs. That was always a real disappointment. I wasn't really heavily involved at the time. I was a young reporter at Sky, but I really wanted that fight. And Hatton Witter was another one that was never made, and that would have been really interesting. So sometimes it slips through the net. Occasionally we don't get fights we want. But it's a shame, because I think Khan and Brook under the same umbrella with Matchroom, they should get it on.
Obviously, earlier on in the interview, you brought up the past weekend, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury. What did you make of the fight?
Well, hats off to Tyson Fury. It was a wonderful performance. I think from start to finish, when he came out, singing and he boxed beautifully. And I think Deontay Wilder was poor at times. I think that he was using the jab and sort of swinging from the hip a bit, but ultimately you've got to give Ben Davison and Tyson Fury all the credit. He outboxed him, I thought, for plenty of the rounds. The two knockdowns obviously changed a lot of people's scorecards, and how he got up off the 12th round knockdown was miraculous. One of the most amazing things I've ever seen. It was a fantastic watch. I was up all night watching it at home, and sort of wishing I was there. And it was one of those that it was a great night for heavyweight boxing. Apart from the controversy, apart from the scorecards, I can't believe that the Mexican judge had it by 4 to Wilder. The others, Dan Rafael had it to Wilder, Jeff Powell had it to Wilder. There were people who thought Wilder nicked it, or it was very close. I had Fury winning. I had Fury winning fairly comfortably. I had him by 3 rounds. So I don't know. I thought it was pretty hard to give Deontay some of those early rounds. I think I gave him 1 and a share of 1 in the first 4, but by that I think it was pretty hard to give him much. But look, he keeps his title. He nearly found the punch. He was celebrating. I think the world thought it was over. Shelley Finger was almost in the ring, and how Tyson got up, you just don't know in boxing, do you? But what really impressed me was how he talked after the fight. Utter professional. So much has been talked about Tyson Fury. He's made so many bad decisions, I think, in the past. He made some great new friends on the weekend, and I sent a congratulations message to Ben Davison and Tyson. I just thought it was great, and I think what he's done and how he's come back from the 28 stone or whatever, and when we saw him in Monaco last year, and he was huge, and I think he's been brilliant. But the great thing is, of course, Anthony Joshua waits. Anthony Joshua has most of the belts. Deontay Wilder still has one. There's unfinished business everywhere. There's 3 heavyweights who, some people think Tyson Fury's the best, some people think Deontay Wilder, some people think Anthony Joshua. We're with Anthony Joshua in that, he's part of our business, he's part of our DNA. We've been with him since, he turned professional. He's a matchroom fighter. We've had great times with him, and I don't like the fact that he's being attack for he's not fighting the others. They tried to make the Wilder fight, they couldn't make it. These things happen. He's fought Klitschko, he's fought Parker, who's unbeaten, he's fought Povetkin. He was going to fight Kubrat Pulev, but at 10 days notice Takam comes in. That's not an easy fight. Anthony Joshua's beaten everyone put in front of him, and in my eyes he's the man still to be beaten. He's the one that sells out the Wembley crowds. But there's a shift. Tyson Fury announced himself in Germany. He went away for a bit. He's announced himself again. He's back. I love it. I love the fact he's back. Deontay Wilder could fight Joshua. Fury could fight Joshua. How big a fight is that? But of course, Fury and Wilder go again as a rematch, and Joshua fights the winner of Dillian Whyte and Derek Chisora. You got White Chisora. It's a humdinger on December 22nd. You had Joe Joyce winning the other night. Daniel Dubois coming through. You've got Jarrell Miller waiting for his chance. You've got Alexander Usyk and Michael Hunter waiting to arrive in the heavyweight division. I mean, look, it's endless, the fights you can make. It's fantastic. Who knows? Is it the last we'll ever see of Klitschko? Could others be tempted into the argument? It's brilliant for boxing. And so my thoughts from the weekend are well done Tyson Fury, and well done Ben Davison as well. People were skeptical. Could he do it without Peter? Did Ben have the experience? He had Freddie and Ricky in the corner, but that's a great triumph for them. And where they've come from, I know Ben was gutted that they didn't come home with a title, but he came home with a moral victory. He announced himself again, and I want to see Anthony Joshua in with Tyson Fury or Deontay Wilder. But if he fights Dillian Whyte in April, how great is that? Dillian's come right back, but Dillian's got to get past Chisora, and Chisora's fit and ready. I'm telling you, he's going to be in the shape of his life under David Hay and Ruben Tabarez. So don't blink on December 22nd. That's going to be a great pre-Christmas present and for the fans. Let's enjoy what we've had this year, and let's wait and see what happens in 2019. There's got to be these big fights. Will we get Brook Khan? Will we get Wilder Fury rematch? Will we get AJ Wilder or AJ Fury? Will we get Alexander Usyk in the mix? What happens with the likes of Josh Taylor? You've got Frampton Warrington at the end of the year. You've got Canelo and Rocky next week. Golovkin coming back. Callum Smith next year. It's brilliant, isn't it?
Yes, it is indeed. It's brilliant. Great to be involved in boxing at this moment in time. But my final question is, with Wilder, AJ and Fury, what do you see being the most likely fight? Between the 3 of them, who do you see out of 2 of them mixing it up and fighting next? You see the potential Wilder Fury matches there. Obviously AJ with the belts. AJ is the biggest draw in the division, naturally with the belts and the sellout of the stadiums, but with Fury return, like you say, there's a lot going on.
Of course AJ's the biggest draw and the biggest casual draw as well. You can see that selling out the 90,000s, and everybody loves AJ that sort of dips into boxing, but some of the trade are now saying, well, what about Tyson Fury? And he's unbeaten and he's proved himself and he's gone and fought Wilder. Well, Joshua wants to fight Wilder. Let's get that absolutely right. If AJ was right here, he'd tell you this: he wants to fight Tyson Fury and he wants to fight Deontay Wilder. The fact that haven't happened yet is no fault. It just hasn't happened. Frank Warren saw an opportunity with Tyson Fury. Great promoter, always has been. Rolled the dice, put Tyson in there, and look what happened. It was a wonderful night for them. And who knows what's going to happen? No, I don't know. Will Deontay Wilder want to go back in with Tyson Fury? I don't know. Will he want another star? Will he want to unify the belts? Or will he want, after the fight, it sounded like, the respect for the Warriors, that they do it again. But, you don't know what Shelley Finkel's thinking and Al Heyman and where they want to move it. It is about money. It is about belts. It is about, prestige and all of that. Fury's proved himself, Joshua's proven himself, Wilder's a world champion, he still has the belt, he's still unbeaten. I think what's great, as I said before, is that the 3 of them, and their different styles, different characters, and different fight fans, or even the casual fans, are going to have different favourites. We were saying in the office this week, and all of my lot, it wasn't a Sky event, we're all staying up through the night watching it. As fight fans, we absolutely loved it, But what we're all saying is, it's like rock, paper, scissors. Any one of them could be any one of them on any given night. You just don't know. A lot of us would back Joshua. There's others that were about Fury to beat Joshua, or Fury to do Wilder next time because he showed the way, or maybe Wilder should have kept him nailed to the canvas. And could Wilder knock out Joshua, or is Joshua too structured, and would he get past that jab? Who knows? What do you think? We don't know. It's a crystal ball at the moment. Obviously, Matchroom and Sky backed Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua's been with us from the beginning. Why would we move away from AJ now? We think he's terrific, but I think last weekend was all about what they did in LA. It was a privilege to be a fight fan and just to watch in, and huge congratulations to both Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. But also, our thoughts are with Adonis Stevenson, because that shows the reality and the brutality of boxing, and we all want him to go back safe and sound to his family. We lost another great fighter this week in Marcus Bayer, who died at just 47. It was that really hit us hard as well at Sky. We worked with Marcus on the Woodall and Catley fights, and we knew him at ringside in Germany. So our thoughts out to everyone connected with Marcus Bayer in Germany, and to Adonis Stevenson. That's the hard brutality of the game. So as much as fight fans want to see AJ Wilder, Fury, all this, that there are business people and their promoters and managers and family around to make sure that they are guided in the best way possible, because it's a dangerous sport. They all know the risks. We were with Joe Hughes in the studios this week. Great win over in Italy. Went a bit under the radar because of what happened obviously with in LA. But Joe Hughes had a wonderful win for a European title. He was born with Erb's palsy. He struggled all his life. With a different size of his arms. He's almost got one arm that can't work. To almost win a European title with the use of a left arm is phenomenal. And I said to him, with what's happened with Adonis Stevenson and your own struggles, did you worry getting in a ring? He says, that's the risk we all take. We're fighters. And I think this is a week to think about fighters, to think about Adonis Stevenson, to think about Marcus Bayer, to think about Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder and what they give us, and to think about Kell Brook and what we're going to get on Saturday night. Another great show, another fantastic night for Sky Sports. We've got Canelo and Rocky in the Garden next week in New York. Then we got White Chisora on Sky Sports Box Office, December 22nd. It's a fantastic year. It's been a great year. There's lots of competition, lots of broadcasters involved, lots of promoters. Boxing's flying. I can only see it getting bigger and better.
Well, Adam, perfect way to end it. Thank you for speaking to Boxing Social.
No problem at all.